the TAB program as part of a team. So we are, there is no one-stop shop when it comes to procurement assistance. There are a number of partners, people who want to see your project succeed in addition to the UConn TAB. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why I can't. There we go. I tried some technology that I probably shouldn't have, but in any case, there's a list of the people who or the organizations that can help you with your procurement in addition to the TAB program. First off, and this is something very important that I think people don't often, grant recipients don't often think about, is your in-house procurement specialist. You might have a contracting officer. Many communities have these people. Unfortunately, a lot of grant recipients don't turn to them right from the beginning, and it's unfortunate because a great deal of contracting for a brownfield project for an EPA grant is very similar to many other procurements. And so those folks, they may not have experience with brownfields, but they may be very experienced with a lot of cross-cutting regulations and how to get things done, advertising RFPs and things like that. So, excuse me, so please make use of anybody that's in-house if you're in a community. Secondly, your EPA project officer. So the person at EPA Region 1 who was assigned as your project officer to help you with your grant, they have an interest in having you succeed, and they can step in and help you at many levels during your procurement process. Third, and this may differ in different states, but at your state environmental agency staff, these folks may be very helpful and we'll talk a little bit about this, but they may be very helpful because they may know more about your site than anybody else, and they are very interested in having your project succeed. The next partner that can help with procurement is regional leaders in brownfields, and by this I mean depending on which part of the region you're in, you may have a regional planning agency or an economic development agency that has experience in brownfield grants and may be very well versed in procurement. So we encourage you to reach out to those folks. And others, there may be others that we can talk about, but there are other entities out there. It might even be a neighboring town that you have a relationship that's done what you are trying to do already, and they may be able to give you some pointers. Before we get into the meat of the webinar, 2 guiding thoughts. Procurement is critical to the success of your project. You may have spent an extraordinary amount of time and resources trying to get a grant. You may have been working on it for a number of years and now you've succeeded. That's great, but now that you have the grant, I think some people don't put as much emphasis on this first step. When you're going to procure the services of an environmental consultant to help you with your project, and this is critical, this step, doing it right, is going to pay dividends down the road. So I highly encourage you to put as much effort and thought into the procurement aspect, this first step of your project, as you did for getting the grant to begin with. And second thought is, and although we're here to help, ultimately procurement is your responsibility as the grant recipient. So you need to put this effort in, and there are things that we can't do, and we'll talk about those. Not sure what's going on with my, there we go. Apologize, new mouse and things. So our outline, this is not in any particular order, although there's 5 points here. We're not going to go in order, but these are the main points we're going to cover today. A very quick overview of procurement objectives. What are you trying to accomplish when you hire a QEP? And this is your qualified environmental professional. And we could talk about procuring other services, construction contracts and things like that. The thing that keep in mind is once you hire your QEP, they are the ones who are going to be the experts in that, and they will help procure the services if you have a cleanup grant, for example. So today we're talking specifically about hiring an environmental consultant, your qualified environmental professional. 2 and 3, we're going to talk about what TAB can do and what we can't do to help with your procurement. For the things that we can't do, we're going to direct you to some resources that can provide training and help achieve your objectives. And lastly, if we have some time, we'll go over some general advice, suggested do's and don'ts of procurement. We want to make sure that if you use our services, that you can use them in the most effective and efficient manner possible. So for each major task, we're going to talk about what TAB can do and what TAB cannot do, and some other resources. The first task is preparing the RFP, or RFP, RFQ, however you want to talk about it, a request for proposal or a request for qualifications. These are different terms, but they often get used interchangeably or used in conjunction with one another. For our purposes today, we're going to be talking about a request for proposal. Just recognize that it is not a quote, and it isn't just strictly qualifications. It's going to be both. You are going to be putting out an advertisement to get you're soliciting professional services. Part of that solicitation has to be cost, but a good deal of it is going to be qualifications. But for our purposes, we're going to call it an RFP. So what we can do for this is, or what we can't do. I'm going to start with what we can't do and finish on a high note. We cannot write your RFP for you. Again, this is your responsibility. What we can do is, and we highly recommend this, is to meet with you early and discuss the project objectives and the process of procurement. And I'll get into some reasons why. We'll give some examples. We want to meet with you at the outset of this, before you put pen to paper and start writing your RFP. We can also provide templates and examples. I will qualify that a little bit and say that is a work in progress. It will always be a work in progress, likely, because we want to improve this aspect of the services that we provide. So we'll always be trying to make it better. But we are currently creating a library of templates and examples of other RFPs that you can turn to. I'll also caution, we'll give you some cautions about that later on. But in any case, there is great value in being able to give you some examples that you can use to help you along the process. We can also help refine a scope of work for your RFP. And we'll talk a little bit about that later too. The technical aspect of, sometimes it's difficult. And if you aren't experienced in brownfields or environmental cleanup, some of this is difficult. And it's hard to put down in a request for proposal what you're asking for if you have trouble with understanding that. And lastly, and this is purposely at the end, reviewing drafts of the RFP. Hopefully, before you send us an RFP example or an RFP draft, you've gone through these other steps. You've met with us early, and we can help you sort of outline what the RFP would look like. The next task is, and as I mentioned, it's difficult to write this if you don't have a good grasp of the technical aspects. And I should mention that this is technical and regulatory aspects. We cannot be your only technical experts on your project. We're going to be trying to service a lot of grant recipients all around New England, and we will do our very best to understand your particular project, but it's not possible for us to get deep into the meat of every project. So we can't be your only technical experts. What we can do is we can direct you to sources of information to help you understand the technical aspects. So if you've got, for example, a report that's very difficult to understand, we might be able to read it and look through it and give you some information that would help you understand what does it all mean. In other words, what are our next steps going to be? Some of this you've picked up already when you were writing your grant application, but we understand that these are difficult projects. We can also review your assessment of brownfield cleanup alternatives and help you evaluate pros and cons of the different methods of investigation or remediation. This would do on a case-by-case basis as needed, but just recognize that that's part of the ABCA is part of cleanup projects. And so if you're hiring a QEP to oversee brownfield cleanup project and you're not really sure if the ABCA speaks to all of the things that you're going to need from your QEP, we can kind of help you with that. And lastly, we can review the scope of work again and the RFP and its attachments. And we may offer suggestions on information to include. One thing to keep in mind is, and we'll talk a little bit about this, is consultants get nervous when they don't have all of the information they need to put together a proposal where they have confidence that they understand the scope. And so sometimes we can help, we will find those things, and I'll look at things from the standpoint of a consultant who might be bidding on projects like this. That's my background, so I'll look at it hopefully with from that perspective. So again, certain things we can't do from a technical helping you to understand things from a technical perspective. But there are a bunch of resources that you can turn to. Again, your state environmental agencies, DEP, DEM, DES, whatever your state refers to it as, there are staff members there who can help you with understanding the technical aspects of your project. I put this one in, it's not it may be a little bit out of, you might not be considering it, but EPA's Targeted Brownfield Assessment Program. The reason I put that in is because there are times when you're at this process of you're about to launch into another phase of brownfield assessment or cleanup even, and there might be some data gaps. I had spoken to Katie Deng at Region 1 about this, and she said that they have funding and they can actually step in and fill some of the data gaps with their program. Takes some planning to do this. You have to apply to the program, but it's a fairly simple process. So this is talking to them might help you figure out if you have data gaps that are significant enough that it causes trouble going from where you are now with your understanding of site conditions to where you want your QEP to start off. And typically this would be more in the cleanup program, filling some data gaps before you launch into having your QEP go in and oversee cleanup. Regional planning agencies, as I mentioned, sometimes a regional planning agency or a council of governments has experience in brownfields, and turn to them because they may be able to help you. There might be some people very well versed in both the technical and the regulatory aspects of brownfields and brownfield grants. And so if you know of people like that, and if you're fortunate enough to be in a region that has people with that experience, highly recommend that you turn to them. This next bullet may seem counterintuitive because of something I'm going to mention in a second, but previous consultants. Being a consultant myself, if anybody called me up about a report I did some years ago, I would be happy to tell them, more about it. And so if you have a series of reports that you're basing, and now you're moving into the next phase, whether it be additional assessment or cleanup, you can reach out to these people. They may be very willing to help you. Just be careful that you don't cross over the line and violate the fair and open competition requirement. Some of these consultants that have worked on a site before very well might be interested in bidding on your project. And so if they are, you should probably not talk to them because it'd be very easy to cross over that line. And or if you do talk to them, only talk to them about what happened in the past. You cannot take advice from them on where you go next. Lastly, an independent consultant. One of the things that people often do, grant recipients often do, is they think that once they have the grant, that should cover everything they need to do as far as investment in a project. Well, we've got this grant, right? And now we can hire our QEP and they'll do everything. But there are sometimes data gaps and there are things that need to be addressed, or maybe there's just, and particularly for the procurement side of things, you may want to talk to an independent consultant. Think of it as, if you're familiar with on-call engineering consultants that work for a municipality or maybe work for a regional planning agency. They step in when the town or the community or the area is procuring services. Maybe it's public works, you have an engineer or something like that. Well, there are consultants out there, environmental consultants, who might be able to give you important information that can make the procurement process more effective. Again, make sure that if you hire somebody like that, maybe pay them hourly to help you digest information or to help you with your RFP, that these are people who are not going to be bidding on the project. If they are, they will be disqualified from that. Sorry, this is a very touchy mouse. What in the world happened here? Excuse me. Let's just see if I can just. Pardon me? Okay. So one of the things that happens a lot is people, and I've found in the short time I've been with TAB, is people are calling me up and asking me who to hire. So identifying prospective QEPs. I'm going to just say up front, we can't do this. We can't provide you with a list of QEPs. We can't recommend any QEPs, any consultants out there. We can't even offer opinions regarding the qualifications of any consultants. So please don't ask us to do any of that. Any of it would be seen as improper, as us potentially endorsing one consultant over another. What we can do is, and again, in your RFP process, we can help identify skills that your QEP must have to make your project a success. So that's in the preparation and the writing of the RFP. We can tell you what credentials a QEP must have in many cases. Your project is going to have some very site-specific conditions or issues, and you may think, well, I'm in Massachusetts, I have a licensed site professional, and so that person should be able to help me. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe what you have is a site where you're going to be doing asbestos abatement. It's not really in the realm of an LSP, but there are people who are experts in asbestos. So we can help, and they have their own credentials and qualifications, licensing. So we can make sure that you've got those things covered. Those are, qualification-based criteria that you need to have in your RFP so that you get responses from the right people. We can suggest RFP language that'll make it easier to evaluate QEP proposals, and we can also suggest questions to ask of a consultant's references. So looking ahead, when you get responses to your RFP, we can give you some questions. We recommend that you've put a lot of effort into this because people often just gloss over it. They ask for references and they say, oh, these people are great. You can ask you are welcome to, and I recommend that you ask very specific questions of a consultant's reference. Somebody that they've worked for before, if anything that might be seen as an issue that might arise during your project, think of it and say, okay, how good was when this QEP worked for you, how good were they at sticking to a schedule or responding to surprises? So those are things that you can use to evaluate a QEP or a proposal. And selecting a QEP, there's a bunch we can't do here. Again, because of we can't be seen as endorsing anyone. We can't attend pre-bid meetings. This is something that would probably be difficult for us to do. However, and Jim or Christine could step in here because I think that the EPA Region 1 folks would attend a pre-bid meeting. Is that right?
Yes, we certainly could.
Jim, can you speak?
We certainly could.
Your volume is off on your computer.
Oh, Okay. Boy, that's good that you knew that. Hi, Jim.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, we certainly can attend pre-bid meetings, and in my remarks, I'll go over a little bit of that.
Okay. Terrific. Um, we can, we won't serve on your selection committee. We cannot do that. We can't interview QEP candidates. Again, I think Jim and Chris can say that they can participate in interviews. Obviously, they're not going to be voting or anything like that. And we can't review proposals, and we really can't participate in any other way in the selection process. Again, in the earlier phases, when you're putting your RFP together, we can suggest scoring criteria for your QEP, and we'd like to be involved with that. And we might suggest how to organize and structure your selection process. And finally, and contracting, similarly, we can't write contracts. We're not legal. We're not lawyers. We can't provide legal advice. We can't replace your in-house contracting experts, people that I mentioned before. We definitely can't manage contracts later on. We can suggest some contracting approaches to improve project success. And we can also help identify contract elements similarly to the technical elements of your RFP. We may be able to help you identify contract elements that may be missing, things that are important. Just keep in mind that although neither an RFP or a proposal from a consultant is a contract in and of itself, it forms the basis of it. It's basically a good faith representation by the buyer and the seller of what the contract will ultimately be and its terms and conditions. So be sure to address your RF or approach your RFP in that way, that ultimately this is going to be turned into a contract. Quickly, additional resources. I've gone over a few of these. I said this isn't a how-to guide. Here's a great, and I highly recommend this webinar series. Joelle Greenland, who is with CClear, our counterpart on the West Coast, gave a presentation through West Virginia University. It's a two-part presentation on procurement, and it's got a great title, How to Ask for and Get What You Need, and it really does do that. She is excellent. It's obvious she has a lot more experience with this than most people. She's also excellent at her presentation is very good. It's very easy to listen to. I would love to emulate her if I could. Some additional resources. These are things that you definitely need to check out. These are and rely on. Okay, so EPA's practice guide, best practice guide for procuring services, supplies and equipment. This is about a 27-page document. You should be very familiar with it. It basically covers all of the things that you need to do and a lot of the how-to. So definitely start with that. A much smaller document, but very helpful. Community grants guidance on competitively procuring a contractor. This is a document that both of them actually mention all of the regulations and rules that apply, including the next thing on the list is the Uniform Grant Guidance, 2 CFR Part 200. This is the actual regulations. I like that they call it guidance. It's not guidance. It's the rule. It's actually your requirement. And this is Uniform Grant Guidance. This is not EPA specific. And the last one here is worth mentioning, even though there are other rules and regulations that apply, specifically EPA's DBE requirements, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise requirements, 40 CFR Part 33. Again, procurement is a team effort. So in addition to these written sources, check with state agencies, check with your organization's procurement and contracting officers. You may find that you need to speak even at the RFP stage to speak with your organization's attorney. There may be some elements in there that your attorney can help you with. Again, your state partners at your environmental agencies and regional planning agencies, these can all help with this. Lastly, some advice on RFPs that hopefully will make using our services and EPA services more effective and efficient. Just a reminder to contact us early before you write the RFP. A few high-level recommendations that we've seen and we would like to nip in the bud. Please don't begin your RFP by borrowing language from someone else's RFP because it may have scopes, budgets, and objectives that will not match your project. Please, if you do borrow from anybody, don't carry over those things. It often references rules, regulations, agencies, and other information that do not apply to your project. Or it may be awful. The unfortunate truth is, just because it's out there and may have been published or advertised, doesn't mean the RFP was good to begin with. So just be very careful if you are going to refer to other elements, and that we will do that when we give you some examples. We will try to flag things that we think are good and maybe not so good about a particular example. They can be helpful, but only use them after you've completed your outline of your own RFP. The little graphic at the bottom is my way of saying or reminding myself to tell you that one of the things, the big no-nos is please don't reference regulations from another state that don't apply. I see this a lot. It's not any one person. It's happened a bunch lately. You may be in one state and you'll be referencing a regulation from another state, or LSPs. LSPs are a Massachusetts thing. LEPs are a Connecticut thing. They don't go in other states. So just be very careful about those things. Do start your process by referring to your EPA grant application and your cooperative agreement. These have all of the elements of what your QEP is going to be asked to do. So it should define the QEP scope of work, and it should form a large part of your outline. That's where you need to begin, is those documents. You need to figure out what the QEP, you've already done this, you've already put in your grant application what the QEP's tasks are going to be. You should extract directly out of that what is going to be expected of the QEP in your request for proposal. Oops. Sorry about that. Also use your in-house procurement officers. As I mentioned before, use them, use staff from your regional planning agencies, council of governments. Definitely use those folks. And lastly, and I hit on this before, don't seek to or accept assistance of any potential QEP. Don't ask them for help or guidance or advice in preparing the RFP. Don't ask them for samples of RFPs. Don't even ask them, and they shouldn't be offering to give you examples from another community. Any of those things are improper and will violate the fair and open competition. Don't include everything, but here's some great advice. Don't include everything. Don't try to be too brief. Succinct is good in an RFP, but don't be succinct to the point where you leave something out that is critical. Leaving things out makes consultants wary, and they may not respond to your RFP. One thing I didn't mention before is right now there's so much money out there with projects that consultants good consultants are not, they may not be interested in a project that seems disorganized, or if there's not enough information, and they may just simply not bid on it. So getting back to hiring the right people, you want them to actually go after your project. If you leave stuff out, you're also going to be setting yourself up for responding to question after question, requests for clarification, and it makes for a very messy and very busy time for you. So try to make your RFP as complete as possible. If you must leave a task open-ended, and I understand that has to happen sometimes, assure the consultants they will not be disadvantaged because of it. And the way you do that is to make sure that you state it bluntly. If you say that the task may include certain things, you also must say that the budget for that task is going to be negotiated later or be based on an hourly rate. You can't just leave it open-ended and say, well, you might be having to do this as well, and then ask somebody for a firm cost. So be very wary of that. Any questions? Or if there aren't, I would ask Jim and Chris to chime in and talk a little bit about what EPA Region 1 can do.
Sure. I think just a quick few tips here. In Wayne's world, in your world, haha, get it? Saturday Night Live reference there. I'm old. We call them qualified environmental professionals or contractors. Consultant in the federal world has a totally different meaning. So don't use that in any of your grant applications, procurement documents, things of that nature. They're a QEP or they are a contractor. Second, and Wayne said this, please run the RFP by your project officer. All right, that's kind of a requirement, especially now with the infrastructure law funding that all you guys might be taking advantage of. We want to do that. We have a lot of expertise on staff that, like UConn, we can steer you away from mistakes. The other thing, it needs to be a full and open competition, which means you need to publicly advertise your RFP, whether that be on a website, trade publications, newspaper, whatever. It needs to be publicly advertised. And we recommend 30 days. And I should say we strongly recommend 30 days, okay? And this gives the consultants, haha, I just used that word again. This gives the QEPs time to really respond with a quality proposal. And I think you guys will like that. And also, as Wayne mentioned, we can participate. We can review and score proposals. We can participate in bid walks, all those kinds of things. And actually, we encourage you to invite us. But the one thing we cannot do is we cannot assist you in selecting your QEP. That is all up to you, okay? And probably the last but not least is document everything in your files as to why you chose this particular contractor. And you can remember one thing about our process. You don't necessarily need to choose the lowest bidder in the federal procurement process, but cost definitely needs to be a factor in your justification for choosing your particular QEP. And other than that, I encourage you to visit our website. We have lots of information there. And of course, make sure you call your project officer with any questions. And last but not least, UConn is a great grantee. Take advantage of their services. You don't even have to be a brownfields grantee to take care of their services. They can work with any community in New England that thinks they have brownfields and wants to get into the program. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you very much, Jim. Really appreciate it. Chris, I don't know if I think you're still on. Did you have anything else to add from EPA's perspective?
I would just add one thing, and that's to remind folks that if you're a municipality, chances are you have a procurement office, and a lot of people forget to use them. And I think you both said it, but I would just remind people that you have your own procurement laws, and we would expect you to follow those first, but also make sure that they meet our requirements. That's all I have to add.
Thanks a lot, Chris. So I'll open it up. I know we went over a little bit here, but I'd open it up to any questions that anybody has.
Either it was a great presentation, Wayne, or you put everybody to sleep.
I think I put everybody to sleep. My fumbling around. Everybody got to see my very first webinar. I got 60 years and I never had to give one, and now here I am giving a webinar. But I appreciate everybody's attendance. Please reach out to us if there's anything that we can do to help in the procurement realm. We will do whatever we can do. We will tell you if we can't do something. We will let you know if there's somebody that we think that can help. But best of luck to everybody, all grant recipients, and get in touch with us if you need anything. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Wayne.